Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. So after last episode where we reworked our bus network in these cities here, we can see traffic is flowing much better. Our train stops are getting much more people now. And some of these train lines are even beginning to look like they might turn a profit in this period. So, obviously this is something that's working. As we can see, some of the remnants of the previous traffic slowly filtering out. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the cities on this side of the map here. So I think we'll focus on maybe these four near Bridgeport, Lexington, Victorville, and Tucson, as a lot of these are some of our bigger cities, and even from a distance here, looking at Bridgeport, we have tons of demand for passenger transport. And actually, while we're here at the station, it might be beneficial to add some capacity buildings. So let's put some all the way over here on the other side. I think those two will be good. So now we can hold about 400 more people here, and hopefully our trains will be able to continue moving people around. We do have some larger demand routes, but hopefully after we work out this new bus network, that'll be able to get better. As well as this traffic situation here. This is something I'm hoping we can clear up by providing bus routes to these train stations, which can then take them between the cities, so we don't have a line of traffic that stretches almost all the way across two cities. Because as we can see here, all of these roads between the cities that don't have great bus networks are really, really bad. I mean, this road here is almost at 1,000, which is pretty crazy. So, with that, let's get into fixing some of these cities. Alright, so let's begin taking a look at Tucson here. The first thing I've noticed looking at this traffic is the city seems to think that the roundabout's a good spot to build a road. So we're going to delete that, as well as all of these houses here, as no one wants to live on a roundabout anyway. And then hopefully, to prevent stuff like that from happening in the future, we'll turn on player ownership on this road and some of the surrounding highways, just so we don't get the city sort of encroaching on these areas. So hopefully this means that the city won't automatically build roads that connect here, as well as houses developing on here, and that might help to clear some of this up. And then we have a similar thing here with an intersection at this highway, which is not something we want. So we will turn player ownership on all the way over here, and then re-upgrade this highway so it doesn't have the reduced speed limit of the city streets. So now that we've done some sort of house cleaning stuff here in Tucson, we can now begin to rebuild the bus network here. Now this one's going to be a little tricky just because our train station's sort of really far away, and we really need to work on integrating it more with the rest of the city network here. Alright, so now we have all of our bus stops in. I think we're going to sort of do it with a top half, bottom half sort of split. So let's grab the existing line, and as we've done previously, start at the train station, and then we'll come out, make our way to that bus station, and then just go on a loop around this whole area of the city. So I'm unsure of why it decided to take that weird route. We might look into why it's trying to do that, but for now we'll let that be. These should update. And I think if we take a look, I'm not too sure why why it does this weird thing. It seems like it's not able to switch lanes on these short road segments. So there we go. Now it seems like it can switch lanes now. Hopefully, and it's a bit of a weird thing to happen, and this is really gonna stink, sort of having to put a little kink in the grid like that just to accommodate the bus loop, but I guess that's sort of what we have to do for max efficiency around this. But now we can come in, grab even more buses, and then start a similar loop at the train station. And then we actually wanted to go to the other one, if we can get it to snap correctly. Well, I'm not sure why it doesn't want to do that. There we go. But now we can bring this around to all of the remaining stations. So hopefully this works out for Tucson. I don't really see much traffic in the city besides the road here trying to get out, and that's due to other kinds of issues happening over here, which I'm not too sure why this is happening now. And I think it looks like in Cedar Rapids here we're definitely going to need a bus station. So let's just go ahead, pause this real quick, and get a bus station in here. One just like this should be just fine, as everything seems to be working normally, although I think we are going to have to add another platform since we do have 3 lines coming here. So we'll do that, and hopefully this will allow traffic to flow better in sort of this region, as I'm not too sure why there's an issue. Maybe it was that weird connection yet again. And also maybe it's time we upgrade this road to a slightly better road now that there's more demand here. And we might even do the same for this road. Now, I know that is only a temporary solution, and it's probably going to get worse afterwards, but for now this should get things moving in Tucson and clear up the remainder of traffic over here in Cedar Rapids. So the next city we're going to come and look at real quick is Victorville, and everything in here seems to be pretty high demand. Now there's not a lot of traffic in Victorville, which is pretty good, but there's an obvious demand for more buses and transportation. Although there is a little bit of traffic coming into the city, which looks to be mostly caused by some of these poor intersections that the city's decided to just place everywhere. And I think also we should upgrade the main road that runs through the town. So we'll continue to bring this across all the way out. I think here's probably a good ending point at the moment. So we'll stay with this. And Victorville is a larger city in terms of its footprint. So I think we are going to have 3 separate loops. We'll have one up here, one over to the airport, and then one that gets this whole downtown area. But first, again, it seems like the city's really seems to like getting to this roundabout. So we're gonna come in, switch that around, just to make sure nothing weird happens. And then we can upgrade the road that comes right off of it to a 4-lane road. And again, quickly fixing this road just because for some reason the city really thinks a road needs to be here. Alright, so all of our stops are now placed in Victorville. We'll come in here, manage the line. We're going to need to replace and add some more vehicles on the line, but first let's get the loop going. We'll start with the sort of northern loop of the city here. And that one looks good. So now that's set up, we can hit play, come through, replace these buses, and let's go ahead and double the amount on the line here. So now we have 12. Find a road depot, wherever that may be. So I don't think we have one in Victorville, so we'll come and place one over here across the river. Seems like a pretty out of the way spot. We'll come in here, grab some more buses, and get these started on the loop to the airport. So we'll just have it come around and connect up just like that. And lastly, for Victorville, the southern loop here, that'll come across the river to where this new development is happening, and then just coming around and sharing some stations with the other loop. So now hopefully this will increase the passengers here at this station, and these trains will become more profitable, as that's sort of a secondary goal with this whole process here, is more buses will feed more of our trains, which will hopefully get us back to making money. Because if we look here, we've been losing a lot of money recently. So we need to figure out a way to get us back into making money. I think a lot of that comes down to efficiency of moving people. So now we're getting into our more difficult cities, and we're gonna tackle Lexington next. And this is gonna be tough, as we need to figure out how we're gonna get 2 loops on here without being super inefficient. And I think maybe if we can get a main building that connects on this side of the street we'll be able to cover slightly more ground more efficiently with our bus stations. So I don't think we're going to have multiple I don't think we're going to have a bus station here at the train stop. I think we're going to have 2 of these tiny bus stops on each side of the station, and each one will sort of feed their own bus loop in this area. So let's come through and delete some of these stations we don't need at the moment. And then we'll come through, keeping in mind that we're going to start here. We're going to work our way around the city, hoping to keep off of any main road where the buses will get stuck in traffic. So we'll just keep following along here. We need to keep this one at the harbor just so that we can get people on the boats. Bring it over here. One up here, even though I don't like the development too much around our industry, but we're not going to really force that. We'll place another one here. It is just sort of overlapping coverage, but I think it will prove important. So then we'll incorporate this bus station here, and then that'll complete the lower loop. And then for the upper loop, again, starting at the train station, come over. I think we will stop at this bus station, and then we just need to figure out how we're going to bring it through the rest of the town, and then bring it back around, making sure it hits everything on its way back. So there we go. We should be able to get 2 bus loops on here pretty easily, and hopefully it will solve the problems we have here. Alright, so we got this first loop set up. This one's probably one of our bigger ones, so I think we're going to need to replace these. I think just honestly double the amount of vehicles. 16 vehicles on a loop this big seems about right, so we'll stick with that. And then we need to find the nearest road depot again, which might be the one all the way up here in Tucson. We'll get yet again 12 buses because the northern side is a little smaller, so we don't need quite as much machinery to move people around. And then we'll just do the same thing, go around, make sure the buses are pathing correctly, and that should be it there. So one thing that does concern me is this traffic on the main road. Even though we don't really have many stops on it, our buses do use it. So hopefully that doesn't get caught up in our efficiency, really. And lastly, the sort of final city we're going to do here is Bridgeport. Now, I think we might be able to get away with 2 loops. We'll see once we place down all of our bus stops. So let's get those placed down first. We're gonna yet again start from scratch with just our stop up here. And I think we're gonna split it sort of diagonally from the bus station and sort of have the bridge be the divider. So we'll come around and space these out pretty evenly. keeping in mind we don't want to get our buses stuck on our really busy roads. Only a bus stop for here. And then we'll just keep going around. Alright, so all of our stops are placed. Let's manage the line and get going on it. So we're going to start with our lower loop first. Bring it around. Everything looks to be going pretty okay. So we end up with 11 stops here. Manage our vehicles. These do have the newer buses on, but I do think 5 more buses will definitely be helpful. And then finding our road depot. And I think 15 more should do pretty good. We'll grab these and head around the other way. Just keep going. These are some pretty long bus lines, but I do think that they'll prove to be important in the long run. So I think we're all set up. I'm just going to go through and upgrade some of these streets so our buses don't need to slow down as they use them. And I think we're pretty much good to go, as our buses should hopefully begin doing all the work for us, getting them to the train stations, where then they can take the trains to each city. So we do see we have quite a couple of people waiting here, but I think we'll look at the trains in a later episode. So coming back to our destinations layer, I want to sort of analyze this area yet again now that we have better bus loops. And even though they're not fully integrated, I do think we can begin to see the effects of it. We don't have extremely large numbers up in the 900s that it was before. We do have this one spot that's at 840 something, but the cars do seem to be flowing, which is really the most important thing that we need to see. And turning off the destinations layer, it seems like this line of traffic is clearing up, which will then in turn clear up everything here, which will then clear up all these roads. And it looks like this street's also beginning to clear up. So these are all good signs, sort of showing that what we're doing is working. And if we come to review some of the other areas, Tucson's all cleared up, and we have a lot of people waiting at the train station. They all just got picked up, but that's sort of exactly the type of thing we want to see, as the more people that can get here, the more likely they are to take it. And quickly looking at the destinations layer here, it does seem that a lot of it is going into our green public transport network. This road here does have some pretty high numbers, but I think that might be from other outside factors, such as this road being shorter between these two cities than the train line. So that's something we'll need to look at in the future. And issues here, but I think that's just because buses haven't gotten into Lexington yet. So we'll move on to the next town of Victorville, which looks to have almost no issues with traffic. besides sort of the problem areas we had before with this road here. But I can't tell if it's getting better or not because a lot of this highway is in a tunnel. So I can't tell if where the tail end of this traffic is. Can't really see the end here. So hopefully something figures its way out here. Who knows, maybe we will need to add these road connections back to the roundabout. Or maybe we finally add a direct train connection into Tucson. I don't know what the solution is at the moment. Maybe we'll evaluate that in the next video. Lexington still has tons of traffic issues, and this probably won't clear up for a few videos, as everything's sort of stuck in traffic. One promising sign though is all of these bus stops have loads of people waiting, which is pretty nice to see. And our train station here is very full. So hopefully as our buses sort of leak into the city here, that will clear itself up even more. And then Bridgeport, I don't really remember what it looked like beforehand, but it does seem like a lot of the traffic is starting to clear out. We did have a couple of traffic problems before, and if we pull up our destinations layer, we sort of see a main flow of traffic through the major endpoints of the city. So specifically this road here, which hopefully will start clearing itself out as the buses clear up and this highway starts to clear up. We might actually make this connection a little bit easier by connecting it to that intersection instead, and maybe upgrading some of these more connecting roads just so that there's multiple paths for them to take. This is a weird intersection, so we'll get rid of that and reconnect that to create that one. And I think we're pretty good so far. We're getting better. And if we look here, a lot of this side street traffic has entirely cleared up, and hopefully that starts to cut down on this traffic on the bridge, since this side of the river is a complete mess. We will get to it soon, but pretty much everything over here needs reworked and cleared up. Although Clearwater and Alexandria isn't as bad as it used to be. However, that might just be because some of the cars are having issues getting into the city. But that's going to be all for this episode. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.